Hi everyone, my name is Shannon McCulley and I am part of the cartographic and geospatial team at the University of Auckland Library. This is my fourth geocart presentation on the GeoDataHub. In past years, my talks have focused on a variety of topics related to our program, from an in-depth exploration of how we developed our procedures to the numerous challenges that we've overcome along the way. Last conference, you might remember me speaking about the variety of equipment and softwares we've used. This time, though, I would like to offer a capstone of our project, looking at the tremendous things that we've been able to accomplish over the last 6.5 years, what resources we finally have online and available to the public, and where we're planning to go from here. I'm going to talk a bit about the reasons why we started this project to build a repository, how we got from the IMAGINZ grant-funded pilot project to its successor, the GDH, a little bit of the program workflow we have to capture our images, post-process them, and then release them to the public, where we are now with our mission almost accomplished, our website portal, the features that it currently has, and how we're planning to expand it in the future, and perhaps the most important focus we have right at the moment, which is the development and launch of our GeoNetwork catalog. So why did we set out to build this repository? Well, the University School of Environment had purchased a large format scanner that then unfortunately just sat idle. So in 2009, the manager of the Geographics unit, Igor Dretsky, came up with this idea that perhaps some funding could be sourced to start scanning historic maps. New Zealand has a rich cartographic heritage. We have more than 150 years of government map production, and those materials could be of tremendous value to the academic community for research purposes. But while the National Library had a few scans available at that time in 2009, there really wasn't much available. Most of the government maps existed only on paper, and they were held at various collections around the country. There was LINZ, the National Library, the National Archives, some university libraries, and private collections. But they weren't easily accessible. You might have to fly to another city to get to them, which could be costly. And in some cases, such as the Defense Force Library, you need special permission simply to view the maps. Add on to that the physical maps are deteriorating. They need permanent conservation and protection so that we don't lose more unique and irreplaceable materials, because we have lost some already. So, by digitizing them, not only could we open up access to them, but we could preserve them for future generations. And as this idea evolved, it became very clear that by providing a centralized storage and distribution location, the greater world could come to it online, search, find the materials that were, they specifically needed at that time, and then get digital downloads of multiple types of product. So the expanding of the access and of the knowledge that these materials existed could be unlimited. Thus, the IMAGINZ pilot project was born. It was a joint effort between the School of Environment and the University Library, and was funded by the Vice Chancellor's Strategic Development Fund, which is a grant internal to the university. The goals of IMAGINZ were to determine the best practice for scanning, begin the image capture, we would determine what value-added products we could create, and how best to distribute our products, and also create a plan for any possible ongoing work. In short, the pilot was about becoming experts in the entire process. By the end of 2012, when the funding for the pilot ended, we'd gotten the attention of the National Library. They had received some of our products. They were very impressed with their quality. They were impressed with how cost-effective we could undertake this digitization effort. And so they entered into a collaboration with us that became the GeoDataHub digitization program. This lasted until this past June, here in 2016, and its goals were to ramp things up. We were going to digitize, if possible, the entire LINZ archive at the Defense Force Map Library. We were going to create a master record of the maps in that collection, because no one knew for sure exactly what was there. We would process the images, we would georeference if possible, and we would start to look at building an online web portal for online distribution. When the National Library collaboration ended in June, We then moved into the third evolution of the GDH. This is the web portal. This is the online presence that brings everything together. It is maintained and will be maintained in the future by the university library, and its goals are to process all of the digitized materials, create their products. We want to get the GeoNetwork catalog up and have it populated with metadata for every item. We want to maintain the web portal and expand the web portal to include a lot more features. And we also want to collect and add more map materials as we can acquire them. Now a bit about our program workflow. During scanning, we have now gone through 6 different models of scanners from 3 different manufacturers. We have had 2 machines from Context in Denmark, we've had 2 from KIP in Japan, and we've had 2 from ColorTrack in the UK. We've used 2 separate sensor technologies, CIS and CCD if you're familiar with them. And we didn't go through that many scanners just because I was thrashing them and burning them up. The first one, which is the image you can see in the slide, is a Context Chroma G600. It was our very first scanner, and it is still my favorite by far. It had its issues, but it was a little workhorse. And when it went obsolete, we replaced it with another model that unfortunately had some stitching problems. So we moved into a different manufacturer, and both of those machines, while being suitable in different ways, the maximum that KIP makes is a 36-inch wide machine, and we needed larger. We couldn't fit the biggest materials, so those weren't suitable. And then we moved on to ColorTrack, where we tried the 2 different sensor technologies and ultimately settled on the machine we have now, which is their latest CCD scanner. All of our images were captured at 600 ppi resolution, and principally we were targeting the lens collection at the Defense Force map library. So we took the scanner down there and we scanned on site. Once the images were captured, we then brought them back to Auckland to post-process. We used various incarnations of Photoshop. It's evolved along with us through the years. The post-processing involves cleaning and restoring the images. So we are repairing tears if possible, removing pencil marks, stains within reason, discoloration, making sure the image is oriented correctly, cropping it down, get rid of rough edges and so forth, and then export the derivatives, which we also do in Photoshop. And the products that we're providing are 300 ppi TIFF and JPEG pairs. After post-processing, we move on to georeferencing. Now, we went down to the University of Otago and had a big discussion with the School of Surveying about how best to move forward with this idea. And in the end, we decided that we would only reference those maps that firstly have grids, so no landmark to landmark referencing. It has to have a grid on it. And only if they have a grid that is in a projection supported by modern GIS systems. So it has to be geodetic datum 1949 or later, and it needs to be a supported projection. So the lion's share of the maps that we're referencing are either North or South Island Yard Grid or New Zealand Map Grid. To do the referencing, we use Global Mapper 12, and we export a 300 ppi GeoTIFF, which has an all-inclusive header. So our products do not contain a separate projection file. The projection information is contained in the header of the GeoTIFF. The next step is our GeoNetwork, and for this we have to capture metadata for every map image we're providing. We're creating master spreadsheets series by series. There are 66 columns in each spreadsheet, and those represent the GeoNetwork fields that we're populating. We go in, we fill out the fields, and then we export the spreadsheet into a CSV file, and we have built a tool that converts those CSV files to XMLs for each record. One hang-up of this that causes the process to slow down is that GeoNetwork needs all coordinates to be in decimal degree lat long WGS84. And obviously our maps are not in that projection. Our maps coordinates are projected to the New Zealand projections. So we have to capture those from the maps and then convert them before we can complete the spreadsheets. It causes some problems, but we seem to have a system now that works okay. At long last, our mission is almost accomplished. Some fun statistics. Since we began scanning in February of 2010, we have been at this for 6 years and 6 months and counting. I have personally come to Wellington for 70 weeks of on-site scanning at Trentham Camp. We've managed to average about 71 scans a day, which is a pretty impressive number. We've captured 25,000 raw images, and that comprises 23,000 maps. Now, there's a difference in those numbers because roughly 2,000 maps have 2 sides. So while they're technically one map, they count as 2 images. We've processed 24,750 of those 25,000 maps, so we're almost done processing. And at long last, we finally have some products available. We have 22,000 TIFF and JPEG pairs at 300 ppi. We've georeferenced 7,500 of those. There will be more to come. And they comprise 479 different series. We have 350 New Zealand Mapping Service series, 115 from Lands and Survey, and 7 topo from LINS, which we didn't scan, but they've provided us with their products so that we can serve them up with the rest of the materials. We also have several hundred miscellaneous maps and Defense Force maps that have been scanned and processed, but the miscellaneous stuff needs sorting before we can release it, and the Defense Force maps, we have to wait for them to be formally declassified. So Defense graciously gave us permission to scan, but you won't see those materials on the portal until the entire process of declassification is complete. At long last, we have a website! The URL is up on the slide. I've been promising this for years, I know, and I finally have a link to give you, so please go check that out. Currently, the web portal features 2 things. We have links to product download folders. These are sorted by series, so if you know what you're after, you can go in and find the JPEG and TIFF products that we are serving for that item. We also have GD Info series list. These are in PDF and CSV formats, the latter for those who wish to rearrange the order of the series or search for something specific. What we don't have at the moment are the series level GD Info pages. These are planned, they will come soon, I hope, and those will provide a sheet-by-sheet description within a series of what's available. Currently, if you don't know what you're looking for, you may have to contact Igor to help you find the materials. But once these sheets get up, hopefully you'll be able to go straight to what you're after. We're also planning a GD Tech section. This will describe the equipment that we've used, our software, our procedures, and so forth. GD Link, which will talk about alternative connections you can make directly to the data from GIS systems. We will have a GD Hunt section. This is Igor's great treasure hunt, as he likes to call it, which is about collecting new and missing materials. We will describe materials that we know exist that we don't have and would like to find. And if you come across a material that maybe we don't know about and you think should be in the collection, you'll have a way to get in touch with us about that. The most important part of the portal that's still planned, or certainly the most our greatest focus right at this moment, is the GeoNetwork catalog. We chose GeoNetwork because it is open source and it has a great set of features. Perhaps the most important of these for the end user is its searching capabilities. You can go in and do your standard keyword search, the textual search, but there's also spatial and temporal options. There will be a map of New Zealand and you can draw a box on it somewhere and it will return all of the maps that fall within that geographic area. Or if you're looking for a map from a date, 1860, or a range of dates, 1920 to 1924, that option will be there as well. Another nice feature is being able to download our products directly from the metadata. So once you've gone in and you've searched and you've found the map that you want, when you load that metadata, the links to any products for it, which we offer, will be right there in front of you. The current status of the GeoNetwork, we have finalized our metadata standard. The XML conversion tool has been built. It's complete. As of about 3 weeks ago, I started filling in spreadsheets. This will be a slow process, unfortunately. Not only am I capturing titles and publication dates and editions and so forth, but as I mentioned earlier, I have to capture the projected coordinates on the map and then convert that to the coordinates that GeoNetwork requires. There isn't a quick and easy way to do this. So we have enough material already prepared from our testing that I'll be able to start series by series upload next month. But we're not going to have a lot of series in there for quite some time to come. nor will you see it right away. The university IT team has been tasked with building us an interface, skinning a front end that will look similar to the portal and to the university's library website. But that will be some months before that gets launched. So the hope is that when they're ready to go live, we will have a goodly number of series up in the GeoNetwork and have a whole package to present to the public. And we will continue to populate spreadsheets as we complete them as we go along. The expected launch is currently scheduled for mid-2017. Don't quote me on that. We've been projecting dates for a long time, but we are working in earnest on this, and it is the last step, and it's where our greatest focus is now. So it will be up soon. Mark your calendars and keep checking back. I suspect that Igor will also make an announcement when the GeoNetwork goes live. Finally, we would like to offer a very special thank you to the organizations and individuals you can see on the slide. Without them, we never would have been able to take this project so far and accomplish so much. The National Library has been invaluable in their support, both financially and in general. LINZ let us scan most of their archive. The Defense Force has given us access for years on end to their map library. The University of Otago School of Surveying helped us get our georeferencing sorted out. Individually, Michelle Phillips and Susan Sutherland, the librarians of the Defense Force Map Library, those ladies have put up with me for 70 weeks of being under their feet and in their way and interrupting their daily workflow. They've answered all of my questions and through it all have been so kind and gracious, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience. We'd like to thank Byron Cochran for helping us sort our GeoNetwork when we were initially setting it up. And last but certainly not least are all of our associate team members who've been with us through the years. We could never have more than one at a time, but each picked up where the last left off, and the post-processing, metadata, georeferencing, you name it. They've helped with it, and they freed me up to come to Trentham and do all of the scanning. So we really, really want to thank them for the time that they put in and the hard work that they've done and for helping us to build this fantastic resource. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I'd briefly like to point out that the slide collage you can see as my backdrop is thumbnails of NZMS 1 to 100, roughly one sheet from every series, plus a few others that I generated, and they're all sized proportional to each other, so you can get an idea of just how much material we've been able to capture through this process. It's pretty cool.